Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. So I wanted to do like a TBR video, but like a little differently. So these are 15 books that I cannot wait to read, and this is probably going to be like a part one because I have a bunch of books that I want to read. Okay, I just don't want to like designate them to like a TBR video or anything of that nature. But yes, so let's get into it. I'm currently looking at my little sister doing something from like outside. She's distracting me. But yes, let's get into it. Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. And this is a book about two men. Also, I'm feeling a little bit, I don't know, somehow about the book. I don't want to get into it, but I am feeling a certain type of way about the book, but I kind of want to read it. So I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I just don't want to get into why I don't particularly feel the same way about this book as I did a little while ago. But yeah, so this is about two fathers who one of them is a black father, one of them is a white father. And this is about two fathers whose sons that were married are unalived, and this is about the two fathers trying to figure out, and the fathers are like estranged from their kids, obviously because of like their sexuality. And so we try to these two fathers come together and they decide, we're going to find out who unalived our kids, and we're going to find out what happened, and we're going to get revenge for our sons. And I think also because obviously because of their sexuality, it's got a lot of that, and I think it's also got a lot of racial issues into it because one son and one other son was white. So I think it has a lot of like different elements that are added into this book, and I think it should be interesting. But like I said, I'm feeling a little, about it. But yeah, I will be reading this one. One of Us is Next by Karen McManus. So wow. So this book is about five students that get put into detention together, like, and I was about to say, like, in a one room, but I think detention is like that. They get put into detention together in high school, and only four of them make it out alive. Okay, only four of them make it out alive, and the one student that didn't make it out alive is the one student that was about to reveal everybody's deepest darkest secrets. So he was about to reveal everybody's secrets, and every one of the other kids, like all four of the children that were in the detention with him, that were in detention with him, they all have something to hide, and they all have secrets that they didn't want people to find out. So which one of them did it, or did they all do it and just like collude together? And or is somebody trying to make it look like it was one of them, like is somebody trying to frame them? So yes, this book has been on my TBR for like the longest time, if I'm being completely honest. And I haven't read it because I don't really like high school settings all that much. I don't like high school settings. I don't like college settings. It's just, it wasn't the best time of my, oops. It just wasn't the best time of my life. And I just don't like those type of settings, honestly. Um, but I kind of want to read it. I really do want to read it. The Quiet Tenant by Clement Micklin. So, this man's wife passes away, and he decides, along with his daughter, that they are going to move to a different town. The only problem is he has to move with a woman that he has kept in his shed. So, he's trying to navigate moving with her and the daughter without the daughter knowing that he has a woman that he's kidnapped, obviously. So, from what I've heard, we see the POVs of the daughter and the woman who was kept kidnapped in the shed. And we also get the POV of a woman who kind of takes a liking to this man, and we see how this man has affected their different lives. And we see also, I think, how three different women can perceive the same person in entirely different ways. And the woman that is kept in the shed is also trying to get out, and she can see that the only way that she can get out is with the help of her kidnapper's daughter. So yes, I think this should be a time, honey. It should be a time, and I do want to read this book expeditiously, okay? But yeah. The Chain by Adrian McKenty. So this book is about a woman who gets a call, and a woman is like, I have your son. In order for you to get him back, you are going to have to kidnap another person's child, and you're going to have to pay a ransom. And this just, it's basically like a chain, right? And all of these women are expected to pick up the phone, call another woman, and let them know that they have their child. And in order for them to get their child back, they have to pay ransom and also take someone else's child. So it's basically like a chain of that same thing happening. And I think it delves into what parents are willing to do to save their kids, and the types of crimes that they're willing to commit, the boundaries that they're willing to cross to be able to get their kids back. And I think this should be a fun time. And yes. The next one is Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent. So Sally, Sally's father passes away, right? And Sally's father had told Sally that, girl, I want you to bury me in the trash. Just put me along with the trash when I pass away. And so she does exactly that when he passes away. And word gets out that she buried her father with the trash. And so she doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. She's like, I just did what he wanted me to do. I was just following what he wanted me to do. Until she gets a letter from her father telling her that these are the instructions on how I wanted to be buried. Only problem is she's already buried him, and like there's nothing that she can do about it at this point. But then we follow people, and they're trying to figure out why this woman would do something so odd and just bury her father with the trash. And so it raised a few eyebrows, and people start wondering like what is going on with her, and they start like investigating her and things like that. And I've heard that Sally Diamond is an interesting character, and I've heard that she's just like a type of character that you want to do a character analysis on. But I've heard that she's just a very unique character, and a lot of people who've read Strange Sally Diamond absolutely love her and like her uniqueness and just the way that she is. And I too want to love her. Like I too want to love her, of course. But yes, Strange Sally Diamond. Ask for Andrea by Noelle W. Ely. So three women that are unalived have one thing in common. All three of them went on a first date with the same man. And so these are the women after they've passed on, and this is them trying to put a stop to this man's serial unalivings, trying to put a stop to this first date unaliver, and they are trying to help other women not obviously to not pass away like they did. And I guess this is like they're essentially like ghosts, I think, but I don't really like books like that. Honestly, I don't like paranormal activities in my books. So there's two books in this video so far that I'm not even sure are still like a thing for me. And that is very concerning. But I guess as people we evolve, okay? Like we evolve. Like I feel like I could have put in a bunch of other books that I'm certain of. But yeah, like I kind of have like my content like thought through well in advance. So by the time I get to posting them, I've thought over them for like a couple of weeks, sometimes months. And so I write everything down. So if I have written it down, it needs to be done in exactly that way. Else I get discouraged and my brain kind of just like starts doing like somersaults, I feel like. So I kind of just want to execute things and execute them the way I have them. So I have the books listed the way that they're listed. But now that I'm listening to the premises, and I'm just like, but I digress. Let's keep on moving. Let's keep on moving and keep pushing through. Yeah. The next one is Appetite for Innocence by Lucinda Berry. And when I tell you, I want to read every single book that Lucinda Berry has, and I think she currently has like 14, if not 15 books. I'll write it down here, but she has like a lot of books. And I feel like the only one that I'm skeptical about is the latest book that she has. That's one I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to read that one. But so this one is the first book by her that I want to read. Maybe not the first, honestly. I think Saving No would be the first. But Appetite for Innocence by Lucinda Berry is one of them. So serial unaliver hunts down virgins, and he kidnaps them, and then he grooms them, and then as soon as like he's like done with them or whatever, he throws them out like trash, right? And so that's basically what he does. He takes them and then he grooms them, and then after I think a couple of years he's just like, you're no use to me, throws them out with the trash, and then moves on to the next one until one girl escapes. And so we follow her path onto how she escaped, and we just go from there. It sounds, I've heard Lucinda Berry's books are kind of like gruesome and they're kind of like intense, and this one does also sound very intense. But I do want to get to her, like get through a bunch of her books, like a catalog, and this was one of the ones that are like on the top, so I do want to read it. I do want to get into it. But in all honesty, I want to read all of her books. I want to read all of her books. I've yet to read a single Lucinda Berry book, and it's a problem. It's a problem at this point. The Last Party by A.R. Torres. So we have a loving mother and wife, and then we have a notorious unaliver, a notorious serial unaliver, who gets apprehended and gets sent to prison, honey. We love that. And then we have a PhD student who wants to find out this man's story. This PhD student wants to get this man to open up and to speak out about the crimes that he's committed. And I think there's also kind of like an element of, I don't know how the woman like honestly falls into it, but I think, or maybe it's a different A.R. Torre book, but I think this one's the one where she gets so fascinated with these crimes that she starts doing them on her child. And I've heard it's pretty gruesome. I've heard she's pretty unlikable character, but yeah. I lied. I lied. I lied. I lied. I have another A.R. Torre book. I lied. So this is about a woman who, okay, the girl in 6E. So this is about a woman who, she locks herself in her apartment. She doesn't leave for anything because she's afraid of what she'll do if she were to leave, okay? She's very prone to having people be unalived, and she just doesn't want to do that anymore. She wants to be reformed and she wants to be a good person, you know, until once she was doing like a video cam thing where somebody confessed, because that's basically what she does for job. She's like a video cam girl, whatever. But a man confessed his deepest darkest secret, and he confessed that this is something that he wants to do, and so on and so forth, until a young girl goes missing. And it sounds so familiar. It's kind of like something she's heard somebody in one of her video cam videos has said that they want to do. And so she's like, girl, I'm gonna unlock this door and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find this girl, and I'm also gonna go find this man, because why would you do that? And so she leaves her house, and I feel like she's going to be so unhinged, and we love an unhinged female character. I feel like she's gonna be so unhinged. I feel like it's gonna be a time, and we love that. The next one is No One Saw a Thing by Andrea Mara, and I kind of want to read a bunch of her books as well. So a woman is by the train station with her two kids, and because kids are kids and kids are naughty, they run ahead of her and jump in front of the train. So before she could get onto the train along with them, the doors close and the train starts moving. So she's panicking. She's a hot mess express child, understandably so. And then she gets on another train to get to wherever the first stop is, and then she gets there and she does find someone. She finds one of her daughters, and the other daughter is just gone. And she's like, what happened to your sister? And she's like, girl, I don't know what happened to her. She asks the people that were on the train, she's like, do you guys know what happened to this child? And they're like, nope, we know nothing. So nobody knows anything, nobody saw a thing. And now she's trying to find her other daughter, who seemingly just went missing in a train as soon as the train stopped. But yeah. The Good Samaritan by John Mars. I want to get to this man's catalog. I want to read every single one of this man's books. But The Good Samaritan by John Mars. Girl, huh? It is John Mars. The Good Samaritan by John Mars. Actually, the book is here. I don't know, I'm looking up there. The Good Samaritan by John Mars. And a woman works at a suicide hotline call center, help center, something, those help centers. And so she works there and she gets people to she tries to convince people. Her job is to try and convince people to not unalive themselves, and instead she picks up the call and tries to convince them to do just that. She tries to convince them to, you know what, you should actually, you really really should. I'm like, girl, I mean, I was in a time, at a point in my life, I'm probably still at like a time in my point in my life, like I've suffered from depression for like the longest time. But if I called in for help and somebody said you should actually do it, you should actually do it, girl, I would take that as a challenge. Okay, I'd be like, you want me to do what? Okay, fine, I'm not doing it anymore. Okay, fine, you win. But I'm not doing it anymore. Okay, why would I want to do something that I'm being told to do? I'm just not doing it anymore. That's the type of mentality that I would have. But I guess people start actually analyzing themselves until somebody tries, is like, okay, what is going on? Something literally just flew. Until somebody tries, is like, okay, but what happened here? Something doesn't make sense here. And they then start to try and figure out who this woman is and why she's getting people to analyze themselves. And yeah. The next one is No Exit by Taylor Adams. So this woman is at like a, she's traveling somewhere, so she gets to this petrol station and she's trying to, I guess, unwind and refresh or whatever the case may be. So she gets there and she sees a girl locked in the back of like the car, I think, and she's like locked in a cage, and we go from there. I don't really know much further apart from that. I just know people really love this book, and I just know that it's been on my TBR for the longest time, and I just know that I want to read it. No Exit by Taylor Adams. The next one is The Nothing Man by Catherine Ryan Howard, and I loved one of the books that I read from her. So when I saw this being suggested, I was like, I need to get into it. So this is about a woman who has a near-death experience encounter with the Nothing Man, where he unalives the rest of her family, except she gets out alive. And so she has an encounter with the serial unaliver, and years later, 20 years later, I think, she writes a memoir about her experience with him. So this man, Jim is his name, is a security guard, and Jim actually reads this memoir and he decides, this girl looks like she's getting too close to finding the Nothing Man, which sounds all fine and dandy. It would be great, right? Except he is the Nothing Man and he cannot let that happen. No way, no ham. So we follow the story from there about Jim, who doesn't want this woman to find out the truth, and about this woman who's hell bent on figuring out who this man is and who his identity is. And it sounds like it's going to be a time. Like I said, I've read one of Catherine Ryan Howard's books before and I absolutely loved it. So I'm just hoping that I'm going to love this one as well. But yeah, The Nothing Man. The next one is Unmissing by Minka Kent. So a woman opens the door. She hears a knock on her door and she opens the door. And it is her husband's wife, ex-wife essentially, but they never got divorced. So it's her husband's wife. So the husband's wife went missing a lot of years ago, and she just rocked up one day and she's like, I'm back. And then they let her stay for a little bit, and because she's trying to find her feet, and she talks about how she was kidnapped and so on and so forth. And so the only problem is her stories don't seem to be making any sense. Her stories don't seem to be adding up, and she does kind of seem like she's hiding something. So it's kind of like, who is this woman and why? How do I get her out of my house and away from my now husband? Okay, because he's moved on to me. But yes. The Last One Out by Steph Nelson. So, a woman disappears when two of her friends are found unalived, and she comes back 20 odd years later. Only she can't remember what happened to her friends, she can't remember what happened that night, and she also can't remember her life from before. And so we follow her from there. But could she be hiding something? Is she just pretending to not know what is going on, or is she really just does she really have amnesia, or is she just faking it? And does she know a whole lot more than what she's letting on? And basically, this is the woman's cousin who's also been looking for this woman for like 20 years. She's been looking for her, and now that her cousin is back, she's just excited, but she's also like, where have you been? And what is going on with you? And are you being honest with me right now? And yeah. Anyway, guys, so those are the 15 books that I just cannot wait to get my hands on. I cannot wait to read these books. And yes, I hope you guys will like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I hope you guys will watch like the playlist. Hopefully, I can make it to 14 days. But if not, please like watch the 7-day playlist. And yes, I am trying to get to 1,000K by the end of the year. And I'm also trying to get monetized. So I hope you guys will watch to the end, honestly. But yes, that is it from me today, and bye.